Hey y'all, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing some meal ideas that are all going to be cooked out on the Blackstone. It's hot out. I know a lot of people are in the grilling mood, so I figured this would be the perfect time to share this type of video. I know a lot of people own Blackstones. I love mine. I've had mine for almost 2 years now, and I'm always looking for new things to cook on it. And if you are watching this video and you don't own a Blackstone, just keep in mind, you can make all of this indoors. You can do it on your stovetop or your indoor griddle. So that's no biggie. First up, I'm going to be making some buffalo chicken loaded potatoes. And let me tell y'all, this one is amazing. So I'm going to start by getting all of my ingredients prepped and ready to be took outside. So I'm starting off with about a 1.5 pound bag of some baby red potatoes. I did wash them well first, so I got them over there chilling in my little strainer, and I'm just cutting them into smaller pieces. The smaller you cook them, the quicker they're going to cook. So next, I'm going to start chopping up some fresh broccoli. I did wash it really well, of course, and then I'm just going in and, chopping it into smaller pieces. Looking back, I should have cut the broccoli first before the potatoes because, if you cook, you know that potatoes can turn brown pretty quickly. I got lucky, though, they didn't. I feel like if those were russet potatoes, though, they probably definitely would have turned brown, but I had no issues with these little baby red potatoes. So going to get those transferred to a little bowl, and then I'm also going to chop up about 1.5 pounds of some boneless, skinless chicken thighs. So again, just small little pieces. I absolutely love cooking with chicken thighs. They just have so much flavor, and they just cook up so juicy and tender pretty much every single time. Really nice. So I've got those in a separate bowl as well. I'm also going to need some bacon. The Fisher's brand is my personal favorite. It cooks up perfectly every single time. I'm going to throw some scissors on that tray to open up the bacon. I'm also going to add some olive oil spray and some salt and pepper. That's going to go on everything that I just cut up. You'll need a package of ranch seasoning. I almost always have a bottle, so that's what I'm going to bring. I'll also need some buffalo sauce. I typically go with the Franks, but the Buffalo Wild Wings was the only one that was available to me locally, but it worked out perfect in this dish. So I went ahead and opened that just to make it go smoother once we get out here. So I brought almost everything outside, but I like to leave stuff that needs to, stay in the refrigerator that's not going to be added to the end. I leave that in the refrigerator, but I like to pack everything up for the most part just to keep me from running inside so many times and letting those daggone flies in. But I have my Blackstone on about a medium heat, and I only need 6 slices of bacon for this recipe. It's going to be crumbled and added to the top at the end. But I just like to go ahead and cook up the whole package. My daughter really loves bacon, so it's great for her to snack on for a few days, or it's also great just to have in the fridge to pull out for my husband's lunch boxes. So yeah, I cooked up the whole package, and I really do love cooking bacon out on the Blackstone. It really does crisp it up perfectly every time, and it's definitely the fastest method. Flipping it over, sometimes it wants to stick a little bit, at least on my Blackstone. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. I'm sure if I added a little bit of oil first, that wouldn't happen, but with bacon, I don't typically do that. And from what I can remember, I've never had it like tear apart, so it just takes a couple extra seconds to kind of take my spatula and, you see what I'm doing. Also, my Blackstone was smoking like crazy, like way more than normal. I think it's because it was storming really bad while I was cooking this, and the wind was just getting it rolling. But look at how perfect that bacon is. I got that transferred to a paper towel lined plate, and I went ahead and brought that in and crumbled up some, like I said. And now I got some more oil added to my griddle, and I'm going to start by laying down those potatoes first, since those are going to take the longest to cook. I kind of got those spread out, and I'm going to season them really well with that kosher salt and the pepper. And then I'm going to go in with both of my spatulas, and I'm just going to get those tossed around good just to make sure that every inch of those potatoes is coated in the oil and the seasonings. And then I will just kind of spread those back out and let those sit untouched for a little bit, let them do their thing. And I was worried about putting the, raw uncooked potatoes on the griddle, but they ended up cooking so good in the end. In that clip, this was about 50% cooked through, I would say. So I scooped those on over to the left side of the grill, And I'm going to add a dome to this to let those steam. This one is not the Blackstone brand. I think this one was the Weber one. It was like $10 cheaper than the Blackstone, and it comes in handy. I also wanted to show y'all that I have this side of the grill on a low heat because I did not want those potatoes to burn. They're going to be sitting there a while. So I got some more oil added to the grill because the potatoes soaked most of it up, and I just dropped down that chopped chicken. And again, just like with the potatoes, I'm seasoning it well with the salt and pepper, going in with both spatulas and just getting all of that tossed around to make sure it's all seasoned well. And I'm going to leave it alone, let it brown up. And then I'm also going to add the broccoli. And I wanted to mention this in the beginning, but the broccoli is optional. It's not part of the recipe. I'm just making that as a side dish. I did add some oil on top of the broccoli, salt, pepper, and the potatoes were mostly cooked through here. So I transferred that dome from the potatoes to the broccoli. I'm getting the potatoes added on over there with the chicken because I'm about to toss those two things together. So I'm going to move that broccoli on over to the low heat side so it doesn't burn. And you can see here, just tossing the chicken and the potatoes together, letting those cook through together. They were about 95% cooked through here, so it just took a few minutes to let those two things finish off. So once those are cooked to my liking, you know, the chicken's all the way cooked through, the potatoes are nice and tender, I'm going to go in with my ranch seasoning. And of course that wind blew a lot of it away, probably like 50 cents worth, unfortunately, but we got that added. And I'm also going to drizzle on some of that buffalo sauce. I didn't add too much because I did not want it to be too spicy for my family. I knew that I could always add extra to my serving. Also, if you are wondering what I'm wearing, I just have an apron on over my shirt because, you know, I don't typically wear aprons, but I've noticed with the Blackstone, things really like to pop on you. Didn't want to ruin my outfit. But now I'm going to add a bag of sharp cheddar cheese, about 2 cups worth. And I'm also going to add that cooked and crumbled bacon that I made in the beginning. And I'm going to close the lid. I'm going to let the cheese melt for a bit. I have the heat off at this point. I had some Texas Roadhouse ranch left over in my fridge, so I transferred that to a Ziploc bag, snipped off the end, and drizzled that on. I knew it would drizzle better that way. And then I finished it off with some freeze-dried chives, and doesn't that just look so beautiful? The broccoli also cooked up perfectly, and I just brought out 4 dinner plates and served it up from the grill. And here is my plate, and with 100% honesty, this was a 10 out of 10. It is a new favorite, and it might just be my #1 favorite thing that I have ever made on the Blackstone. Next up, I'm going to be making some steak tacos and some street corn. So I went to Kroger looking for some flank steak, and it was just ridiculously high. I could not justify it, but I did come across this carne asada, I could be saying that wrong, steak. It's already like marinated in the package, and it was on sale. I got it for a really good price. I don't remember the exact price, but I remember it was good, or else I wouldn't have bought it. But oh my gosh, y'all, I am definitely going to repurchase this. It has so much flavor, and this came out so tender and juicy. It was not dry, tough, anything like that. Loved it so much. So I got that thinly sliced up and then chopped up and transferred to a bowl. I'm also going to bring out some corn tortillas, some salt and pepper and oil. I'll need a half of a lime to squeeze over the steak, so I've got my juicer as well. I got some butter as well as a knife, and I'll need some more lime for the street corn. I've got about a half a cup there of some cotija cheese. I keep that in my freezer because we don't go through it quick. Got a spoon, and we'll need a little bit of mayo. I'm using this frozen corn. I did steam it in the microwave first, and this aggravated me. I went to Kroger and I bought cilantro. I made sure to check that I paid for it, but I could not find it anywhere. And this was the same day. I looked in my car, I looked in the house. I really just don't think it got bagged, so I had to use some dried cilantro. Honestly, that stuff is pointless. It has no taste, but I had it, so I'm going to use it, I guess, for some greenery. But I was really disappointed because I do like cilantro, and I feel like these two dishes, it was very necessary, but what can you do at the end of the day? So Anyways, we're outside, we're on the grill. I got it really nice and hot on that steak side. I dropped down some oil. I have canola oil in that bottle. And then I lay down my steak and I season it with just a little bit of salt and pepper. It probably wasn't necessary because it's already so well seasoned, but I didn't know. I hadn't had it before. But to me, a little extra salt and pepper never hurts. And I did drop down that corn on a lower heat to the left, as you can see. I dropped it at the same time as the steak because all of this is going to cook up really quick. This is a super quick meal, perfect for a weeknight. So I try to touch the steak very little, just cooked it for a few minutes on one side, flipped it on over to the other side and cooked it for a couple of minutes, and then I just tossed that steak in about a tablespoon or two of butter so it can coat all of it, and then I immediately got that off of the grill onto a separate plate. I did not want to overcook that, and then I immediately took half of a lime and squeezed the juice all over it and brought that inside. So now I'm going to finish up that street corn. So I'm seasoning it with some salt and pepper. I did like a big heaping spoonful of mayo. I added on that cotija cheese and I squeezed over half of a lime. Again, you're supposed to mix cilantro in with it, but just didn't have it. But I'm just going to toss that around for a few minutes once I got all of those ingredients added, and then that is done. I got that off of the grill, brought inside, and the last thing that I have to cook up is those corn tortillas. So I just added about another tablespoon of butter, and I'm just taking the back of my spatula to spread that out better. And I'm only going to be cooking up 6 corn tortillas because the kids went over to my father-in-law's house and had dinner over there. So this was kind of like a little date night and dinner for Josh and I, although my daughter did have some leftovers when she came back, and she really loved these steak tacos. But these tortillas cooked up perfectly. I just did a couple of minutes per side. And then here's the setup. A little bit of grease splattered on my camera, so it's a little bit blurry in the right corner. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but it's driving me nuts. But now I'm going to get my plate assembled. I did make a quick homemade guacamole, so I spread that on the bottom of the corn tortillas. And then I just have this little taco stand holder. I've had these for years. They really come in handy. I think I got those at Kroger as well, but after I got my steak added, I did a little bit of that dry cilantro, and then I did a good amount of that street corn. And it's really random, but I also threw on some pasta salad. That recipe is in my last video and the one that's titled Summer Sides. Pretty random, but that's what I love about home cooking. You can do whatever you want. It does not have to make sense. But this meal was seriously amazing. These steak tacos were phenomenal, and that street corn, out of this world. Up next is going to be my daughter's request. When I was meal planning, she came up to me and she told me that she wanted me to make some pizza burgers. And of course, I'm very happy to do that for her. And that just thrilled me because it is impossible trying to get anyone in this house to help me plan dinners or meals in general. So I don't know where she came up with it. I know years ago I did a version of this. I think I saw it in a Pioneer Woman cookbook, and I made it for Josh's birthday. But like I said, this was a long time ago. She was tiny, so I know that she did not remember that. So I think it's just something that popped in her head, and she came and told me, and I just love that. So I have about 2 pounds of ground beef here, and I'm just patting that into patties. This made 6. I prefer to buy like an 80-20 meat, but I got this at Save-A-Lot, which is where I prefer to buy meat, but they only have like 73% or 85%. There's no in between. I typically buy the 85%, but for burgers, I do like it to be a little bit lower, but it was okay. I do like to use this Mr. Steak Super Blend seasoning for anything with ground beef. It's like salt, pepper, garlic powder, all the good stuff you need. I'm also going to bring out some shredded mozzarella cheese, pepperonis, and of course some pizza sauce with a spoon to spread it. And I'm going to be making some fries on the Blackstone for the first time. So I've got these Red Robin steak fries. We all really like those. And we'll need some oil for that. I'm also going to grab some country crock butter to Spread some butter on the hamburger buns to toast up. I know it's not real butter, but I really like how it spreads really quickly and easily. I don't want to be outside trying to butter up some bread for 20 minutes while all my food burns, but let's get to cooking. I'm starting off with the French fries. Those are completely thawed out, by the way. That's going to make them cook up a lot better. I just oiled the grill good, threw on those fries. I didn't season them because they're already seasoned perfectly. And then over to the right side, as you can see, I've laid down the hamburgers on about a medium-high heat. I season them well, and I am going to cook up the pepperonis first. I wanted those to be nice and crisp. It only took a few minutes to achieve that. One of our current favorite snacks is air fried pepperonis. I just throw them in there at 400 degrees for 5 minutes, and it's just like a pepperoni chip. It's so good. So that kind of inspired me to do this little additional step. I didn't want limp and maybe possibly kind of cold pepperonis on top of the burger, so I really like that little step there. So once I got those crisp, I transferred those to a bowl, and I got my burgers flipped over. As you can see, it has a beautiful sear on it, and I'm just seasoning the other side. Looking back, I should have seasoned the raw burgers and put it on the grill, seasoned side down, and then season the other side. That's usually what I do. I don't know what I was thinking, but oh well. I'm going to go in and toss those fries around. I do that every few minutes or so. I've got the buttered buns down on the lowest heat possible. You want to keep those on the grill for maybe a minute or less. They cook up so quick, so fast, so be careful. You don't want to burn them. But the fries are done at this point. I gave them a little taste test to make sure they were to our liking, and they were. So I got those transferred to a big bowl. And now the fun part, we are going to finish off these burgers. So I'm just adding a good amount of pizza sauce to each one of those burgers. And then I'm going to grab that shredded mozzarella cheese and add some over the top. Really, you can use whatever cheese you want to here. Any variety, doesn't matter. I will say this cheese, it doesn't melt very good. So next time I will do a slice of mozzarella cheese, and I think that would make it even better. But now I'm just going to start adding those cooked pepperonis to the top. I did 3 pepperonis per burger. And then obviously you can add whatever toppings you want to at this point. It can be any kind of pizza toppings or any of your burger toppings. But I put the lid down and let that cheese try to melt for a little bit. And then I transfer that on over to a buttered bun. And there it is. There's the pizza burger. So I think that this is a really kid-friendly type of meal. I mean, most people like burgers and pizza, so I just think it's great for everyone. I thought that was really awesome of her, and they turned out so good, and she really loved it. The fries came out really good. I'm glad I finally gave that a try, and I just served it with a very simple side salad. Really good meal. Okay, so lastly, I'm making breakfast for dinner. That is always a favorite. And this is my first time trying out biscuits and sausage gravy out on the Blackstone. So I was excited to try that out. So I preheated a cookie sheet that I have turned upside down. I sprayed that with some nonstick cooking spray, and then I laid down some thawed frozen biscuits, and then I put the dome over it. I also was heating up my large cast iron skillet. I had that nice and hot, and then I grabbed a roll of breakfast sausage, threw it on in there, and then I'm just using my little meat masher tool to get that broken up and browned. I kind of hate cooking sausage with that tool sometimes because it wants to stick really bad, but I know if you let the meat brown a little bit better first before mashing it up, it works better, but I'm impatient. So now I'm going to start making some hash browns. I oiled and buttered the middle part of that griddle, and I'm just using some Save-A-Lot brand frozen hash browns. And again, you want these to be thawed out, but mine were still half frozen because once again, I was trying to beat a really bad storm that was about to come through. So I was in a rush, didn't get to fully thaw those out. But now I'm going to add about a 1/3 cup of some plain all-purpose flour to that sausage. And again, that flour was flying everywhere because of the wind. I swear when I get these ideas for a video, everything just seems to not go right. You can't tell the chaos in the video, but let me tell you, this meal was chaotic. But now I realized I needed to flip those biscuits on over. I think you're supposed to flip them every 5 minutes or so. I only flipped these once. Came a hair of burning them. And my kids are home. It's summer break, so you might hear them in the background, but I'm not even going to try and shush them this summer. But anyways, got them flipped over. These were sliding everywhere. But once I got those in the order that I could put that dome back over it, that's what I did, so those could finish off cooking. By this point, I can go ahead and add in my milk. I did 3 cups of milk, and let me tell y'all, I have been using 2% milk for years in my gravy because that's just what we buy. The last time I made gravy, I tried it with whole milk, and oh my goodness, it is so much better. So that's what I did here too, and that's what I'm going to do from now on when it comes to a good breakfast gravy. So if you're not doing that, I highly recommend it. I try to keep those hash browns in like a patty, I guess that's the word, but it just wasn't working where it wasn't thawed previously, so I just ended up combining all those together. The biscuits were done, I got those took in, and by that point my gravy was nice and thick, so the last thing I have to do is just season it with some salt and pepper. That's all there is to it. So I got that stirred in, and as you can see, this is the perfect consistency. So I grabbed some oven mitts, took that inside. The hash browns are also ready. So the last thing I have to do is to fry up some eggs and some fried bologna. So I buttered the grill. I got these little egg molds. I guess that's what you'd call it. So I put 4 of those down. I actually have my heat off now because I do not like a crispy fried egg or any eggs of that sort. I like them to be very soft, and that is just something that I cannot achieve on the Blackstone yet. These were good. We ate them, like we like them, but we really love them like super soft. But oh well, I seasoned them with salt and pepper. And now I'm going to get some oil laid down in the middle, and I'm going to lay down my fried bologna. Do any of y'all like love fried bologna? That is what I was raised on. It's like my favorite breakfast meat, even over bacon. I just love it. And I always put these 2 little slits in it. It helps the middle cook up a little bit better. Keeps it from bubbling up. And by this point, I can take those rings off because the eggs shouldn't run everywhere. And you see that brown coating? Like, I know a lot of people like that, but I'm just not one of them. I did end up turning the heat back on to the lowest heating possible on the eggs and took those off, and I'm getting the bologna flipped over. I love when it is like brown. I really like it browner than that, but I did take them off at that point. So everything is finally done. Got it all brought in. The biscuits and the sausage gravy and the bologna turned out very good. The eggs and the hash browns were just all right. I will master them one day, hopefully. But that does wrap up this video. I sure hope y'all enjoyed it, and I definitely want to thank y'all for watching. There won't be a video next week because we are going to be on vacation, but as soon as I get back, I'm going to upload a husband's lunchbox video. So I will see y'all soon.